Namaste and welcome to Living Essence. I am Saranta Ananda and today I'm talking about holding space. And this is the most important thing that you can do as a human being, let alone a representation of God, which you are as a parent. Parenting is a form of holding space for another living being. And of course, this can be used in any relationship. Holding space isn't just for your children, it's for your beloved, it's for your mother, it's for those that you care about. And that's exactly what God does for all of us. You see, God is not this man up in the sky with a large beard or a woman with amazing jewelry and presentation. God is simply presence. And the interesting thing in that is understanding also that what is love? Well, love too is just presence. I've always said that love is not a thing or a feeling. Love is presence. And as the good word says, God is love. I also love to talk to my parents that I coach and other people that I'm coaching for that matter about who they are. I ask people, who are you? And they start talking about the roles that they play and the things that they do. And it doesn't take much to show that that is all just presentation and not true representation of who they are. And when we begin to dig deep into that question of who am I, they begin to realize that they too are very much that same thing as love and God, simply presence. When you drop away your past and your ideas of the future, what is left is simply presence. You are presence, and presence is love, and God is love. So as parents, what are we to these children? We are a representation of God. We are to be space holders. You see, God does not come in and interfere with our growth. God does not come in and say, this is the way that you've got to do it. Religion does that. But you see, religion is simply crowd control. And sometimes as parents, I'm sure you understand that we can feel like we are just crowd control as well. That we're the SWAT team sent in to fix up the mess. That's not what we are. You see, I've had many parents have their struggles and come and share their struggles with me. And I'm normally bringing them back to that same thing. You are not here to teach your child how to live. You're not here to show your child what they should be or who they should be. You're not here to project onto them the things that you lacked and then therefore give them everything you didn't have. Project this idea that if I give my child everything that I didn't have, then they'll be happy. You're not here to pressure them into sports and music and whatever you think is going to bring them joy. You are here to hold space. And as I say to all my parents, when the shit hits the fan, where do you want your children to go? You want them to come to you, right? But the sad truth of the matter is, in this day and age, teenagers, our young people, our children, they're not going to their parents anymore for advice or going, to that safe environment where they will be accepted for who they are. They're going to their peers because their peers don't judge them. They'll judge them behind their back. We all know that form of bullying. But a parent won't do that. But why do they not come to us? You see, my daughter came to me the other week and shared something very, very deep, something very profound about how she sees herself as a human being and how she sees her gender and her sexuality. And I don't need to go into that. But she came and shared that with me. For a 13-year-old girl to go to her father and say, this is what's happening for me. And I didn't fly off the handle or I didn't judge her or anything. I held space. I listened to her and then I displayed love. Simple as that. That is representing God. You can go to God at any time because God is everywhere all the time because God is present. God is presence. When I was in the church, I used to have people come to me and say, oh my gosh, I really felt the presence of God. I used to be a worship leader and I'd lead the worship. And sometimes people would say, I really felt the presence of God. Well, that's because you became present. God is presence. And all you need to do is become present to experience God. And in that moment, you experience love. It can't be explained because it's only ever happening in this moment. So what does that mean for us as a parent? You need to be fresh in each and every moment. You can't allow yourself to be governed by your past, by your upbringing, by your parents. Most of us are parenting our children as our parents. It's actually our parents parenting our children because we're still carrying our trauma, our judgments, and our past. And we project that onto our children. And out of fear, which gets no one anywhere, remember that rhyme, fear gets you nowhere. Out of fear, we project onto our children all those worries that we have for them. What if this happens and what if that happens? And while we're doing that, we're violating this moment. While we're doing that, we are no longer present. What if takes you out of the present moment? You're no longer a conscious parent. You are now a projector, simply a projector, and they become your screen. And out of that will come regret as a parent. So your role as a parent, as I've said before, and I go back to some of the parents I've been coaching, your role is to hold space. And in that space, you become to them unconditional love. You can't love anyone unconditionally. You can only embody it. Whether you are giving unconditional love is not up to yourself. It's up to the person that receives it. So it can't be anything you force upon someone. I'm going to love you with unconditional love. Often we do that as well-meaning parents. I love you unconditionally. No, you can't love unconditionally because your trauma and your past and all your ideologies are tied into it. You cannot do that. Drop it. Drop your ego and simply become present. In the energy of being present, your child will experience true security because there's no judgment and there's no projection. I'll say that again. There's no judgment and there's no projection when you simply hold presence, when you become a container for your child. There's going to be times when your child is upset and they need to be able to be upset. At what point has God come in and said to you, no, stop being upset, and rocked you back and forward and said, stop being upset, stop being upset? You see, God's not neurotic like that. God knows that we live in this world in which we've come to experience the 5 senses. We condense down into this body so that we can experience sense. That's why we're here. So do not fear the tears. Do not fear the anger. Do not fear the anguish that your child is going to experience. If you're going to fear anything, fear that you cannot hold space for them. You are simply here as a parent on this earth. To be a conscious parent, to be a representation of God, is to hold space and be present. For God is presence, and presence is love, and love is what you are. And to give your child yourself fully is simply to be present. I can't tell you how to do that, because anything that has a how attached to it is ego, and presence is simply egolessness. Presence is heart-centered awareness. Heart-centered awareness. It removes away from this functioning machine all day, the mind. Remember that mind is time and time is mind. The heart is everlasting life. So simply come back to the heart. Be present and judge not. And you will find the ability of parenting simply exudes out of your being. You don't parent as a doing as much as you are parenting as a being. And this will bring great clarity, great peace, and great love into your children's lives. I'm sending you all so much love.